Welcome to the Potion Podcast, your raw look at the hospitality industry, brought to you by SHC. This week's episode is proudly sponsored by Bar Green Ellington for all your restaurant and bar needs. Visit bargreen.com for the full portfolio. What is happening, Post Shift Podcast? Welcome to another episode of the Post Shift Podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Shawn Soole. Last week, I did a quick little IGTV about the latest BC lockdowns, and I gave a few points on why the hospitality industry is frustrated, and I don't blame them. For anybody who's listening who doesn't know, BC recently announced till April 19th, and I'm going to say April 19th minimum, that indoor dining is shut and only patio or takeout is allowed in the province from all the restaurants right now. Now, before I get any sort of hate comments on this show, on this episode, I do want to say that I do believe that the hospitality industry is being indirectly and unnecessarily targeted. I do believe there is no scientific proof saying that restaurants do spread the virus. That being said, we are a congregating industry where people sit and congregate for hours at a time in close quarters. Even with the 6-foot thing, it's still relatively close quarters, low roofs, that sort of thing. Now, that being said, the frustrations from the hospitality industry, and if anybody in the government is listening to this, the frustrations in the hospitality industry is the fact of big box stores, big supermarkets, the Walmarts, the Costco's, the Home Depots, that sort of stuff, still being open during this time when we're getting locked down. Now, here's a perfect example, is that if you come in with a group of 6, or 2 groups of 4, which I've seen as well, it is up to the restaurant management and staff to 1, make sure everybody wears masks, 2, keeps their seats, 3, gets contact traced at the front door, and we have to police this. But when you go to these big box stores, the Walmarts, the Costco's, you see people going down things, and I deal with it as well. People going down aisles too close to you, 14 people being in one aisle. There's no security guards out there. 1, doing contact tracing, which is a real actual pain in the ass at the front door. No contact tracing at grocery stores, no contact tracing at these big box stores. And there's no security guards telling people to separate. Like, there's no security guards going, hey, only 2 people down, there's an aisle. And that's where the big frustration is coming from. And this is where the ups and downs of these closures are really resonating with a lot of people. Now, that being said, people go, well, they have lobbyists. Yes, they do. The reason why the hospitality industry will most likely never have lobbyists as powerful as the big box stores, the oil industry, is because everybody has an agenda. No one is ever in the right frame of mind, the right space to work with other people. If one association represents the big guys, the Cactus Clubs, the Earls, the Moxies, that sort of stuff, the independents get upset because all the focus is on those big guys. If an association looks after the small guys, the big guys and the government don't pay attention. Now, this is hard because we cannot organize as an industry and have one voice. I know of at least 4 to 5 organizations right now trying to have time with the government to talk about our situation in the hospitality industry. 5 different lobbying groups, all with different agendas, all with different leaders, all with different voices, and this is why we can't. And the perfect example this last week of why we can't have these independent, solidified, working in alignment groups is because of what happened at Big White, where a restaurant decided to shut down and have a massive blowout party. No masks, fully packed, people on table dancing. That was their blowout party for being locked down for 3 weeks. This is the sort of mentality and behavior that we have from operators in town. Now, you can probably say to me, hey, that's the outliers. Yes, but we are in an industry where we are very public, and anything we do reflects the whole industry. You don't see oil executives being put in the paper and because they got drunk one night. No, they're not as public as we are. Second point, they've got lovely folks at Corduroy and Kitsilano. Lovely videos circulating around of them and all their guests saying get out to Vancouver health officials. This is serious. This is legit happening. And we wonder why we can't come together as a lobby group and actually have a singular voice to the government, where the government actually realizes that our entire tourism ecosystem, hotels, cruise ships, transport, food and beverage, all plays a massive role in the GDP of this province and in the country. Now, this is where the factions happen. The tourism bodies are yapping at the government. The hoteliers and the hotelier associations yapping at the government. The 5 food and beverage ones that I'm not going to mention, but 5 different groups of people who are trying to lobby for the industry are yapping at the government. To the government, all we are is yapping chihuahuas, all with our own little agendas and barks. And until we actually all sit down in a room and all see that we're all as important as everybody else in our sector, we will never have a unified lobbying body. Now, I'm sure this is going to piss a lot of people off, and if you want to DM me, knock myself out. I would love to have a serious, legitimate, respectful conversation about this very topic, and if you can change my mind, then I'm always up for my mind being changed. That's the beauty of what I preach, is you can always change your mind. But I do believe we have too many voices in our industry, all clamoring for time with the government when we just need a single voice. Now, who's going to be that single voice? I don't know, but we need a single voice. Now, before I finish up this episode, I did put something in perspective in that Instagram TV episode that I did. Now, it sucks. It fucking sucks that we're closed right now. You know, we're lucky enough that we had a patio at Clive's. We had Vista Kitchen down, but all the staff in Vista 18 got furloughed. We kept a couple of the kitchen staff for our downstairs kitchen. It's been a hell of a lot of work to ramp up and get our patio open in a space of 3 days, new menus and all this sort of stuff. It was a ton of work to get done this week. But while there's restaurants that I know that have shut that can only do takeout, which is a horrible thing to have to deal with. I do apologize for any restaurants that don't have patios right now. And the restaurants that do have little patios that aren't really even making the break-even point to stay open, but it's sort of a semi-lockdown. We just got to do whatever we can. We are tough industry. Every day is a big hurdle. Every day is hard. Let's not kid ourselves in thinking that the hospitality industry and the reason why we got into it is because it was easy money. Like, every day is hard. This is a huge hurdle. It's been a huge hurdle for this last fucking year. But it's a hurdle that we can all get through. Now, is everybody come out the other side? No. Is everybody going to be happy at the other side? Probably not. But at the end of the day, we're a super resilient industry, and we're going to push through this bit by bit by bit. My final thought, I know I said that was my final thought, but this is my final thought. Let's put the things in perspective. If you have not lost someone because of this pandemic, whether it be a loved one, family member, close relative, please put it in perspective when it comes to closing down your restaurant. I think this is where a lot of people don't look at the macro. And for me, I'm looking at the macro in a big way. My wife is healthy, my daughter's healthy, my mother and father-in-law are very, very healthy. I think they got vaccinated this week. But I haven't lost anyone close to me. I know friends who have lost their grandparents. I know friends who have lost a lot of loved ones in this pandemic. So while it does suck right now for this lockdown again, and possibly, and it's going to be longer than 3 weeks, I'm going to call it now. If you haven't lost someone, please make sure that you hug your loved ones, tell them you love them, and just be thankful that you haven't had to go through a funeral. And most of the time, we wouldn't have had a funeral during this time. So, on that note, while it does suck, guys, we're a tough industry and we'll always be a tough industry. So, have a good week, keep grinding along, and I'll chat to you real soon. Bye. Thanks for listening, Pose Shifters. I hope you enjoyed that episode. I really enjoy sitting down with friends and peers and just chatting about the industry and getting down to the nuts and bolts of what's really going on out there. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, everything on all the platforms. Just hit it up and I'll do my best to answer any queries or questions you have. I'll see you next week, guys. Bye.